Bill Verdell, pastor of Winds of Change Ministries in Ozark, Alabama. And this is going to be a teaching called Sex is Not Free, You're Married. Now, the reason I'm doing this teaching because a lot of people, it's been brought to my attention that when I was asked by a coworker, when are you married according to the Bible? And growing up and hearing other ministers and speaking myself, we've always been taught that you're married when you get a marriage license, go before a minister or the courthouse and say vows and exchange a ring, and they pronounce you husband and wife, and that's when you're married. Well, this teaching I'm going to do is to show you that's not true. That you're married without a marriage license. You can be married without wedding vows. Matter of fact, they don't exist in the Bible. There's nothing wrong with them. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with them. You're married without a wedding ring. You don't need a wedding ring to be married. But in the beginning of this teaching, I need to go back and define to you how Jesus looks at sex. Because when I say sex is not free, you're married, any form of sex that you have with anyone is going to cost you something. It's either the act of marriage or fornication or adultery or whoredom or prostitution, or it's always cost you something. Sex is not free. Anytime you have sex, it's going to cost you something. Either on the plus side or on the negative side. It's going to cost you something. So I'm going to be giving you a teaching on sex is not free, you're married. But I got to back up over here in Deuteronomy. I'm going to be in Deuteronomy chapter 22. And I'm going to start off and tell you how important it is, how the Lord looks at sex, how important it is for a woman to be a virgin and a man to be virgins on their wedding night. So when I come forward into the New Testament and remind you of, we tell people you shacking, or, you had a lot of boyfriends or girlfriends because you ain't never had a piece of paper in your hand saying that you're married to that person, that you're not really married. You just been shacking. That's not biblically true. Okay? So let's see how the Lord looks at sex. I'm in Deuteronomy chapter 22, and I'm going to start at verse 13. It says this: If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her and give occasions of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not to be not a maid. I found her not to be a virgin. It says, Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. Now, I forgot to get me some before I started this teaching. But the tokens of the damsel's virginity is, if you will, grab this over here, back in the day, in this time, on a man's and a woman's wedding night, they would take, the parents or the men or both of them would take sheets and put clear white sheets on the bed. One to be on the bed and one to get under. And in the morning, when the marriage had been consummated, those sheets were taken and given to the mother and the father of the damsel. Why was that? Because if the man later on in this thing here said, when we came together, I found her not to be a maid or a virgin, she was not a virgin when we came together, according to the law of Moses, if she was not a virgin on her wedding night, you were to take her to the door of her father's house and stone her to death. That's right, all of us be dead. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Anyway, so these tokens of the damsel's virginity is the sheets from the bed. Because on the night of the consummation, if she was a virgin, you know what would happen when the hymen was broken or ruptured, and it would be on the sheets. And you gave the sheets to the parents for a specific reason. Let's read on. It says this: Verse 16, Deuteronomy 22. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid or a virgin. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. Why? Because there is proof on the cloth that she was a virgin, she was a maid on her wedding night, and he lied. This was a serious offense. You couldn't lie and say a woman had we would say today, premarital sex with the person that she was committed to. Man, that'd get you killed back then. So they had to retain these tokens of the damsel's virginity, the mother and the father of the lady, just in case the man played this little game. He don't want her no more. He gonna tell a lie and get her killed so he can go get him another wife. So they take them and they spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And after the proof is given, the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, or pour this on him. I think they poured it on him. And give them unto the father of the damsel, because he had brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. See, there it goes. A virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. Sound like ours supposed to be? Yep. Anyway, but, now check this out now. This is how serious the Lord took sex. It's not, it was never casual to the Lord just go around having sex with anybody. It says, but, it's verse 20, chapter 22, Deuteronomy. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house. Here it goes. And the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die. Why? Because she has wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put away evil, so shalt thou put evil away from among you. It was an evil thing to go and have sex with somebody else and then come and try to marry somebody else and say you're a virgin. They didn't play no games back then. They kill you. They kill you. Anyway, thank God we're now in the law of Moses. You can be forgiven for this. Remember the woman was called the act of adultery, and the very act of adultery. She was forgiven. We're going to get to that later on. Okay. Now, some more things I can tell you about a woman being found lying with a man. Now it gets into what we call betrothals. Back in the day, they betroth you to somebody. You might be little, but, when you get old enough, they're going to be your husband. You get old enough, they're going to be your wife right there, boy. That's it right there, boy. You better like it, because that's yours. You ain't getting nothing. We not already betrothed you. All right, anyway, betrothal. Now, the Lord looked at marriage also if you made a promise to someone to marry them. He considered a promise just as valid as if you had consummated the marriage already. Let's read on. So if a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel. I know in the story with Jesus, they only brung the woman who was caught in the very act of adultery before Jesus. They didn't care nothing about the man. They just wanted to see would Jesus do anything contrary to the law of Moses. So they brought the woman and said, we caught this woman in the very act of adultery. Moses said to stone her. So what do you say? And I say that I got to go. My time's about out. Tune in and see the next part of this. Sex is not free. You're married. Because I want to teach you biblically when Jesus considered you to be married and not our standard. This is Brother Bill. Bye-bye.